You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about Tom Brady and the Las Vegas Raiders. We know Tom Brady is a minority owner there, and he was involved in various football operations over the last 12 months, maybe longer. And, of course, he's also Fox Sports broadcaster, their lead analyst. That's right. That means he gets the first run games with Kevin Burkhardt, right? Well, former Raiders coach Antonio Pierce, yikes, has come out and made some comments about Tom Brady. And he is claiming that Tom Brady did, in fact, give up secrets of other teams while he was a Fox Sports broadcaster and, of course, dealing with the Raiders, that Tom was, quote, a great help to them. Now, a couple of things to consider. Why are you just now saying this, Antonio Pierce? Number two would be, did Tom Brady have a major hand in you no longer having a job, in which turn you would hold a grudge? Number three, are you holding a grudge in general because you're no longer the Raiders coach? Because obviously, if he was the Raiders coach, he wouldn't exactly be coming out with this now, would he? So I find this very interesting. Now, of course, all this, look, it's been something that's been talked about for the last 12 months. I had previously done videos on it. I didn't think it was that big a deal. And then on Monday Night Football, all of a sudden, they showed Tom Brady in the coaching booth, the coaching box, and everybody was like, oh. And you could even see it looked like Tom Brady did he tried to back himself out of the view of the television because he was like, you could tell it was sort of an oh shit moment. And somebody did come out and say, I can't remember who it was, that this is sort of the equivalent of Jerry Jones walking in and sitting down in a New York Giants game plan meeting or whatever they're working on, because he's going to call a game. Would you allow Jerry Jones to do that? Giants. The answer is absolutely freaking no. Right? But this is pretty significant. Sean Payton has come out and said, of course, he's the coach of the Broncos, that he doesn't have a problem with it. All the owners, to our knowledge, have been fine with this. The coaches say they're fine with it. There is some speculation that behind closed doors, some of these coaches and owners actually aren't okay with it, but they're playing ball. Many believing that Tom Brady may, in fact, be one of the most powerful influences in the NFL already. Now, I know, like Mike Florio believes there's a world where Tom Brady will become the majority owner of the Raiders at some point. Okay, when that is, I don't know. Maybe 15, 20 years from now. But he believes that's where this is headed for Brady. So, here we go right here. The issue is that Brady is a broadcaster for Fox. He covers other games involving other teams around the league every week. In this role, Brady is given a certain level of access to coaches and players, which leads to obvious concerns about how he could use information gathered to his or the Raiders' advantage. Now, the reason they set in on these meetings, etc., with these teams is to prepare, and they drop nuggets from said interactions and practices. A lot of times these guys are out there at practice during their broadcast. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, but Tom Brady has been great this year. He's much improved already. It does make you wonder, if he stays with it long enough, how good is he going to get? Because he's already pretty damn good all of a sudden. Brady speaks with Raiders coach Pete Carroll and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. That is understood. Would Brady share information gleaned from his broadcasting job with the Raiders? Former Silver and Black coach Antonio Pierce, who now works for CBS on the NFL Today Plus, said you'd be a fool to believe otherwise. Quote, this is unprecedented what we're seeing, Pierce said. I think I would be uncomfortable if it was the other way around, to be honest with you, because you're not dealing with just a normal person. Tom Brady is the elite of the elite, one of the greatest quarterbacks, one of the greatest players in the game. Played against him, obviously, a student of the game. Quote, it's not hard for him to watch a few things on a Friday practice or hear things in a production meeting and be like, I have tidbits. And you'd be foolish enough to think that he's not sharing that with the Raiders because he had those conversations about those things, about certain things. So he's saying he did with the Raiders because he had those conversations about those certain things. In fact, Pierce claimed that Brady was, quote, a great asset for us when leading the team in 2024. Well, my question would be, is it his knowledge of the game that lended his, or did he specifically say, hey, I heard blah, blah, blah does this, and can you prove that came from his broadcasting gig? The fact that you're even asking the question kind of presents a problem. So there's that. Quote, he was at training camp with us. He's been around. He was at OTAs. He was in the draft meetings. He's been around a lot more than he was last year with me. So our conversations were more about how to fix the Raiders. I think this year, he built that team. So he's saying Brady built this year's Raiders. I mean, those are all a lot of his calls, right? I think even starting with the firing of me. I think with me, that was one of his calls. Okay, so that presents an issue with what he's saying about Tom Brady is spilling the tea from his Fox broadcast. Okay, it certainly seems like that's possible, but you're also saying you think Brady was the one that fired you, which means you're probably not real happy with Tom Brady right now. And again, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, like he's heavily involved within the organization. So maybe last year that would have helped me out. But I didn't have that from Tom last year. So now he's saying, Antonio Pierce kind of telling you he's upset that Tom didn't help him more last year. This is starting to sound more agenda than anything. For what it's worth, Kelly, the team's current offensive coordinator, said on Thursday he does not talk to Brady about the game plans. Quote, I don't know what was said on the broadcast because we don't watch the games, Kelly said. But Tom's involvement with me is I spent a lot of time just talking football with him, Kelly said in a press conference. But it's not on we don't talk about game plans. While this is worrisome at face value, it's worth mentioning that the NFL has considered this a conflict of interest and safeguards are in place to prohibit Brady from doing things other colored commentators can. Tom continues to be prohibited from going into team facility for practices or production meetings. So he doesn't even have access to that. He may attend a production meetings remotely, but may not attend in person at the facility or hotel. He may conduct an interview off-site with a player like he did last year a couple of times, including the Super Bowl. Of course, as with any production meeting with broadcasts, it's up to the club, coach, and players to determine what they say in those sessions. CBS Sports NFL insider Jonathan Jones spoke with several league and team executives this week. One executive relayed he's not worried about his coach slipping up in a virtual production meeting with Brady. They will be careful not to give away information Brady could potentially use for the Raiders down the road. I don't worry about my coach will slip up in production meetings and give up something he shouldn't. If you play the Raiders in a couple of weeks and come across Brady, your antenna is going to be up. But Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham aren't dumb. They're going to watch your film. Well, so this is interesting. I mean, certainly it is a conflict of interest, at least in some way. No doubt about it. Now, the problem is you got Antonio Pierce directly saying Brady helped us out last year from shit he got from meetings with the other teams because of his Fox Sports broadcasting career. The problem with that is that accurate? Is that even true? Because Antonio Pierce may have been fired by Tom Brady. And you can tell Pierce is aware of that. Plus, Brady didn't help me the way he's helping he's gotten more involved. Everybody knew that his involvement had increased over the last, and that may, as we further go, it may become an increasing conflict of interest because of that. I know one thing, there's been enough fire to tell you he was involved with the draft, which means he passed on Shadur Sanders. He denied that he was involved. No, you was involved. There's been too much out there now. And I think we all thought that was bullshit anyway. Yeah, like Brady's not going to be involved in quarterback decisions for the Raiders. There was already stories coming out, Mark Davis coming out about the fact that they're heavily relying on Brady in this entire, he's relying on Brady to help make decisions. This is interesting, but I think ultimately we're going to see how this is going to go, because Brady almost feels like Jerry Jones at this point, that he's got so much clout in the NFL that they're actually going to steer on the side of not pissing Tom Brady off. Something that was brought up by Mike Florio today on PFT, and it was interesting. We all know Tom Brady is officially in bed with the Saudis for that flag football league. There's been a lot of rumors out there. Matt Schaub, former NFL quarterback, has been telling players behind the scenes, we need to prepare for a Saudi Arabia professional football league. A direct competitor to the NFL, like Live Golf, to compete against the NFL. And that NFL players need to be ready to potentially participate in that league. And Florio floated that out there. Would Tom Brady be named the commissioner of a Saudi league? I was like, wait, what? That takes things up to a whole nother level. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.